I am opposed. I've been very vocal about it. I am absolutely opposed to question 1 on the ballot in November. I am personally opposed to it. I will advocate against it. But if the people of this district choose to pass that article on the warrant, I will go to each town. I will hold meetings. I will request in each town that the question with the delineated budget cuts that would be associated with that repeal be included on a warrant in each town and voted on by the people. Because the wording of this article or this ballot question is vague. It does not outline the gravity of the situation. Our towns would be decimated. This is $12 billion or 40%.
I am not an advocate of completely repealing the estate income tax. I am a strong advocate, though, for rolling it back from 5.3 to 5%, which was voted on by the voters several years ago. And that sounds like a lot of money. Just the 5.3 to 5% is about $700 million. That represents 2.5%. So for every $100 that they take from us in tax revenue, you need to go find $2.50 worth of waste and inefficiency, and I'm very confident we can do that. Now, a general comment on ballot questions. I have the stance that if the will of the voters, they've gone through the process to get this on the ballot, the people understand what they're voting for, and if they pass a ballot question, I will honor the wishes of the voters, and I will be an advocate for their position. So the first thing we need to do, we'll all talk about this, is we need to get in there and fix the funding formula that is not, it's obviously not equitable to the towns and cities of Massachusetts. And that part of that is the problem with the transparency up there. There are very few people who actually understand all the components that really go into that funding formula. But all the towns and cities know is that it doesn't seem fair when some towns see a boost one year of 25%, other ones see 3%.
The Chapter 70 formula, which I do understand, is not the essential problem. The essential problem is the foundation level budget. The foundation budget has not been changed since 1993 when ed reform came in. It was based on a set of factors that no longer exist. We have MCAS, we have the Massachusetts frameworks that all came in well after this. So the foundation number is not based on what is being taught today. Special education costs are skyrocketing and are very, very, very difficult for small towns to absorb. We need to look at the funding and reform the funding for special education costs. And finally, the lottery money, this exemplifies my opponent's misinformation or ignorance on budgetary issues. Lottery money would come back as first one-time revenue source. It would not do anything to lower your property taxes.
What we need to do is find a way that there's not so much of the school funding relying on property taxes. That, as we've seen, is decimating the towns. Things like special education, when you have an influx of students, that can have a devastating impact all of a sudden in 1 year on the town's budget. What I will do, again, refers back to the Abe Lincoln quote, is to go in there, listen to all the various towns. There's so many different advocates from the big cities to the suburban towns. Try to understand how do we come up with a formula that is objective and fair to everybody in the state so that this children, regardless of where they live, have the same opportunity for an excellent education.
Well, before we even tackle Chapter 70, we have to tackle the foundation number. That is what Chapter 70 is based on, and if the foundation is bad, regardless of what you build on top of it, it's going to be bad. So right away, tackling that foundation budget number, looking at what we are required to do today in schools. It's very different than it was 15 years ago. Building from there, that's number one. Number two, as we know, special education is actually not so much factored into Chapter 70, but it is reimbursed the following year through a circuit breaker. Ensuring that that is fully funded every year and gives the towns that break is critically important. But long term, we need to look at reforming special education funding so that we get current year aid for students who come into our district and we don't have to wait for a reimbursement.
When there are clearly identified loopholes that were put in there by a special interest group, even if it is a specific corporation, absolutely, those are things that we need to find and close. For fairness in the way the tax code works for businesses and citizens.
Draw the jobs in. We need to draw the high-paying, high-tech jobs. And that's, yes, we are picking some winners because we know that where the future's going. The high-tech boom made a lot of money for Massachusetts because we got in at the ground floor. We are getting in on the ground floor of new business